The old wizard laid a freshly wiped rag neatly on the table, then put a glass of water in the middle. Pour the vodka and then dip it in her flirtatious fingers. Rub it around and then finish it off with a sip. We'll drink the glass upside down in the center, and then wrap tightly with the four corners of the rag. Open the rag. The glass is already broken into crumbs, but he evenly poured the pieces into his sandals and then carefully put them on. Chopped his feet felt the same as usual. He walked out of the house as if nothing had happened. When he came to the street, everyone treated him with respect as if they had seen the savior. But what he did next was surprising. He put his cane in the palm of a boy's hand. Then the cane was strangely swaying up, and the scales tattoo on his arm also began to follow the swing. Seeing that the scales were finally balanced, the old wizard smiled and said,
"This is the face of a good man."
At this time, an older woman also wanted to experience, but she wasn't so lucky. Seeing that the scales were tilted red, the old woman rushed to say that she had never done anything bad in her life. But the old wizard told him that just because he hadn't done it before didn't mean he wouldn't do it in the future. After saying that, she was turned into a dried human body in front of everyone's eyes. At that moment, his men told the old shaman that there was a thief in the crowd. The old shaman thought he must not have left, so he shouted, In an instant, everyone immediately fell to their knees. Only the man in the middle was half a beat slower. He must be the thief. But the man refused to admit that he had not stolen anything, but he actually had a golden beetle in his pocket. Now he was caught with the stolen goods. The old wizard immediately asked his men to capture him alive. As a result, in the grabbing of the sacred beetle almost instantly around the believers all dead. Now he was even more wronged. But when he came back to his senses, he realized that his hands were covered with blood. This is too strange. How could he kill someone when he usually had trouble killing a chicken? At this moment, he did not know that in his body also lives a horrible character. A man named Stephen is a gift salesman at a museum of ancient Egyptian culture. He has a strange fetish. Every day before he went to bed, he would lay a thick layer of sand next to the bed. Then he used tape to seal the edge of the door. Finally, he tied one foot securely. He can sleep in peace. At first, he did not know why he did this until he was playing with the Rubik's Cube and ready to sleep. It turns out that when this guy sleeps, he can move instantly. Looking around the strange environment, Stephen was confused. At that moment, a voice suddenly came from his ears and told him to give his body to Mark.
Sorry, what? The body, what?
Suddenly, he sensed danger approaching and turned around, but only saw a castle. He reached up and greeted his buddy up there. His buddy was also polite and immediately pulled out his gun and shot at Stephen. Both sides chased each other. Scared shitless, Stephen hid in a nearby town. That's where he ran into the old wizard, and that's why the first scene happened. Seeing all the believers around, Stephen quickly grabbed a cake car so that he managed to break out. But due to the slow speed of the car, they soon caught up with him again. A fierce man jumped directly into the car with a gun to force Stephen to stop. Crisis moment. Stephen and White Eye's pistol into their hands. Just now the buddy also threw the heart cold. At this point, the mysterious voice came again.
Truck, stupid! Truck!
Escaped the thrilling scene. Stephen was caught in the middle of two cars again. See, the other side of the gun is about to shoot. The critical moment, this guy rolled his eyes again. This time, after waking up more exciting, he was actually driving backwards. The other side slammed. Stephen, a wave of 360-degree rotation, drift, steady, brake, stop. But the car is also completely broken. Seeing the other side stopped in front of Stephen, decided to raise his hands to surrender. But his luck was really good. Found it was all a dream. Stephen was relieved. After the robbery, he dressed up like a man ready to go to the goddess. But he didn't wait and was scolded by the other party on the phone. It turned out that the two had agreed to Friday night, and today is already Sunday. Stephen was in disbelief. After hanging up the phone and asked the waiter passing by what day of the week it was. After hearing the other party said it was Sunday. Stephen's whole body is not good. Sleepin actually lost 2 days of life. In order to find the trajectory of his actions in the past 2 days, Stephen rummaged around the house and found a cell phone and a handgun in a wood plywood compartment. He accidentally found a cell phone and a key. When he opened the phone, there were hundreds of missed calls from Layla. He was just about to call when Layla called. Steven picked up the phone due to repeatedly, but Layla on the other end of the phone called him Mark. Steven's head suddenly tingled. Could it be that everything that happened that day was true? At that moment, he heard someone call his name. Steven looked around the room. Finally, the target was the bathroom, but when he pushed the door, there was nothing there. He thought he must have been too tired recently and hallucinated, but suddenly the lights in the room began to flash wildly.
Steven, stop looking.
This scared the shit out of Steven. He rushed out of the room and jumped into the elevator in the hallway. He wanted to go outside and take a breather. Who just arrived at the second floor elevator doors actually automatically opened. The dim corridor seems to be standing in a tall figure, not waiting for Steven to see. Luckily, it was just an old lady. Seeing Steven's appearance, the old woman was also scared to death. When the old lady came out of the elevator, Steven thought he was relieved. But suddenly, when he came back to his senses, he appeared on the bus again. But the weirdness didn't end there. First he saw Khonsu, the mythical Egyptian god of the moon, on the side of the road. After getting off the bus, he saw a familiar figure again, the old wizard from that day. Now everything that had happened in the town was confirmed. Arriving at his workplace, Steven looked around for fear of being followed. But the old wizard caught him red-handed. He rushed to the security guard for help. But the security guard was one of them. Now he had no way to escape. The old sorcerer introduced himself as Arthur Harrow, an incarnation of the evil god Ammit in Egyptian mythology. But Steven couldn't listen to him. He just wanted to run away. Unexpectedly, all around are Arthur's followers. Then Arthur revealed the tattoo, preparing to use the previous method of trial Steven. But the result was unexpected. Arthur's arm scales tattoo actually wavered. This made him very surprised. Steven saw this, also rushed to slip. Soon came the end of the day. Steven was going home, but then there was the sound of a dog barking behind him. He swirled in the direction of the sound to go. The result, in a corner. The dog was really too big. He was so scared that he turned on the silent mode and accidentally touched the artifact behind him. This is the end. Panic. Steven rushed to hide in the bathroom. At that moment, Mark in the mirror spoke once again. He urged Steven to give up his body quickly, otherwise, the day would be over for both of them. The frightened Steven slapped himself and thought it was not real. Remembering that he doesn't have a wife, he screams that he doesn't want to die, but Mark tells him,
You're not gonna die. Let me save us.
At this point in time, Steven is desperate and doesn't resist and gives his body to Mark. The next second, the toilet face pool flew up. The picture changed. Just now the arrogant monster has been pressed to the ground and beaten wildly. And this beating him is the final form of Mark's transformation. Marvel's latest dark superhero Moonlight Knight.